Good evening, YouTube family and friends, and welcome to the first episode of 50 and Single. I am your hostess, Jernigan 6. As you all know, maybe about a week ago, I was sitting in the den, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I was thinking about some things and just thinking about my life in general, and came up with the idea that to make my channel more useful and more of an outreach and more interactive, I'd make videos about something that other people can relate to. I mean, we can all relate about hair, but how about life situations? We do know that, okay, I'm a baby boomer. So there are so many of us that are 50 years old, 40 years old, and even 30 years old that are single. Some of it's by choice, some of it's just by circumstance, and, it's just something that we're dealing with. There's a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you guys, and please comment below because I'm going to answer the question that I ask you. For me, I'm going to answer the question, then I'm going to ask it of you. I am single, and I know why I'm single. I'm single because it has been, this is a consequences of choices that I've made early in life and later in life also. Excuse me. Early in life, as a very young woman, I dated. I had my first child at a very young age. I was 17 when I had my first child. And I was, it just was something that happened. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's been in that situation. I met someone, and we ended up living together for about 5 years. At the end of the relationship, we kind of grew apart, and our lifestyles were changing. And I was in Texas at the time, and I really wanted to come back home to California. Anyway, knowing that we were separating and our lifestyles were different, I I chose to come back home. But before I came home, this guy, not apologized, he proposed marriage to me. Now, I said no. And I'm going to tell you why I said no. I said no because the relationship was abusive. It was very abusive. And I knew I could not spend my life like that. So I said no. Just so happens, though, I did not come home. I stayed in Texas. Yeah, this was in Texas. I stayed in Texas for a few more years, maybe another 10 years, another 5 years, I'll say. And got into another relationship. And that one turned out to be abusive. So I knew then that I was going to come home and I was going to be a single mom. So by the time I came home, I had 3 kids. And I had prepared myself to be a single mother because I just knew I was going to be a single mother. So I accepted that in my mind at the time. And I went ahead and just made my life and prepared my life to be a single mother. So I knew I had to take care of my kids, and I went to school to become a nurse, and I became an LVN. And when I came home, I just, I was a nurse, and it was practical for me to do that in order to take care of my kids and to, do it as a single mother. So, have I been in relationships since then? Yes, I have, and I've even been had another marriage proposal since then. And this one I said yes to, but this was a coworker of mine. We were both working at the hospital. And yeah, so I told him, yeah, I'd marry him. We had been dating for maybe about a year, I'd say. And then he popped the question and I accepted. And some friends were saying, are you sure you want to marry this guy? And I was like, yeah, I really want to marry him. I thought he was like that guy that was like, he was very distinguished, you know, and he was very, very talented, a nice guy. It seemed like he had good morals and standards. And I knew his mom worked at the hospital also. And we all seemed to get along well. But people kept coming to me over and over, are you sure you want to marry this guy? Well, come to find out, the question was being asked of me because he was actually cheating on me with one of my coworkers. So when I found out he was cheating on me, I just told him, hey, look, I don't want to get married. I didn't tell him why, but I just told him I didn't want to get married. So he said, well, can we still see each other? And I just told him no. And for years and years and years, we didn't even speak anymore. He left the hospital, I left the hospital, but he ended up marrying that woman that he was cheating with. So, and they had 2 kids. So that was cool. That was cool. Funny thing is that now we're really good friends. Okay, so my question to you is, why are you, oh, excuse me, please excuse me. Why are you single? Do you know why you're single? Was it a choice that you made, or is it just the consequence of decisions that you made at an early age? Excuse me, I'm just really, I'm under this light, and it's really, my hair is hot right now. So, yeah, yeah. Now, there are other reasons, which I'm going to get into later on as this platform opens up and expands. Now, there are certain things that I know challenges that being single poses. One is, first of all, there's loneliness. There's times of being lonely. There's times when you need someone to talk to. You want to share things with. There's no one to share with besides, your immediate family, your kids, your sisters, your brothers. Yeah, that's all good. Those times you need some help. Being a single woman, there are times when you need advice as far as like when things go wrong in your home, which is something I recently experienced. I had a flood in my den, and I had, I needed help. I needed advice from someone who may have been more experienced with those type of things other than myself, which I never had been. And the guy it was a friend, and I was kind of hoping that he'd kick in and say, hey, well, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to do. But no, he thought I was going to ask him for money, so he distanced himself. And when he did that, I just cut him off. Because, that right there, to me, that was cowardly. And I ended up getting everything done, and I ended up, being connected to the right people. And it was basically family members that helped me out. So for that reason, I knew that this friend would never be more than a friend. Okay, so those are some things that pose a problem. Then another thing that would pose a problem would be if say, like, for instance, if I were to lose my job, then there's nobody that I can say got my back, you know, and can carry things on until I were to get another job. There are things that need to be fixed around the house. There's car situations. So these are all things that as a single woman I have to deal with. And it's really, it can be frustrating, but in a sense, I've been so trained in that area that, being self-sufficient, it's kind of second nature to me. It's not something that's always 100% enjoyable, but it's kind of second nature. So I have to do what I have to do. And that's how I feel about this. Another thing is, do I enjoy being single? Honestly, I'll say maybe 75-80% of the time, I enjoy being single. I don't, I mean, as I told you, my first two long term significant relationships were abusive. So I kind of stray away from people that have bad tempers, that, are kind of boisterous. I just kind of look for warning signs, and I think sometimes I make up warning signs in my mind. So I'm kind of standoffish, and maybe sometimes I self sabotage because I don't like arguing. I don't like confrontation. But if I have to become confrontational, I will. But I do it with facts. I'm not the kind of person to just fly off the handle because something didn't go my way. So I do enjoy my own company. I like to pamper myself. I love retail therapy. I love cooking. Now that's something I would really like to do. I would like to cook for somebody because I do like to cook. So that's something that's part of that 25, maybe even more percentage that I miss. I miss the companionship. Sleeping alone, that can be, well, for me, I don't know. I don't know. Sleeping alone. I guess going to bed with someone, and then of course for sexual reasons, that's awesome. But I'm kind of hot, so I don't like. I might start off like cuddling, but then after that, it's like, okay, you get to your side of the bed, and I'll get to my side. So that's how that would be. But I I have learned to do things for me and to find enjoyment in things that I can do by myself. I'm really now starting to expand those horizons a little bit more. And I go to concerts by myself sometimes. I'll go to what do you call those, jazz festivals sometimes by myself. Now I do have female friends that I do hang out with sometimes, but sometimes I just want to go by myself. And I'll go to the movies by myself. I'll go to dinner by myself. I'll go treat myself to a really nice dinner. Yeah, those are some of the things that I do by myself. And I enjoy it. But then when I look around and I see these couples that are enjoying each other's company, and I think to myself, well, I know they have disagreements, they have arguments, they have financial problems, they have employment problems sometimes, but they're together. So those are things that I wonder to myself sometimes, where do I fall short in my personality that I don't have that? Okay, so those are things that I have to ask myself, and I have to look deep inside of myself to really, to really truthfully answer those questions. And those are things that I think we all need to, all of us who are going to connect on this forum, we need to ask that of ourselves. And this, excuse me, let me drink some water. Excuse me. So this video is not so much just for single women. It's for married women. It's for single men. Anybody who wants to chime in and give input and share your experience, it's more than welcome, because I think in some ways we can help each other. Of course, there's going to be people that are here chiming in to probably troll and to say negative things, but for those people, we just ignore them, just like we do with everything else. But excuse me. So for the first 50 and single video, I'm gonna leave you guys with these two questions, and I want you to answer them honestly and truthfully. Why are you single? And do you enjoy being single? If you do enjoy being single, what about being single do you enjoy? And what about being single do you not enjoy? Okay, I'm going to leave you guys with those questions, and we'll be back to discuss and answer, and then I'll give you a glimpse of how I'm going to spend my week as a single, or how I spent my week as a single woman. Okay? God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode.